application security testing. Before I start with the session, I would like to know is anyone of you have worked on iOS application security testing before? Anyone? iOS security testing or application security testing? Anyone? Okay, no worries. So before I start with the session, I would like to clear you with what is iOS application security testing and what is iOS security testing. So these are two complete parts. So basically, in iOS security testing, we gonna, as we know, iOS is a proprietary mobile software which has been created by the Apple. Whereas in the iOS security testing, we will be only focusing on the operating system, the kernel, and the default applications which is provided by the Apple. And whereas in the iOS application security testing, we will be focusing on all the third-party application which has been developed by their own software developers and been hosted for the iOS App Store. So, I'm Srivatsan Sk. I'm currently working as an IT risk analyst at Wellman Group, and I am an early chapter lead. So, I have been certified with Information Assurance Security Professional from DIAT. Okay. As you know, the Apple is one of the most well-known and popular for the security. Can anyone of you explain like why the Apple is so secure or deemed to be secure?
Doesn't allow third-party software installs in that. Yeah, like downloading the APK or IPFX.
Is suggesting that Apple won't be allowing any third-party application like installation of APK or IPA file directly with the mobile. So that is one point. Any other points to be added? Like why Apple is seen to be secure? So basically, as we know, the Apple is one of the popular operating system and popular brand as a security privacy matters. But why it has been so secure is one of the future of the Apple is they will be only allowing certain softwares, and after they will be having certain Apple policies, whereas the developers have been forced to have the updated version. They will be forced to have certain restriction through the Apple operating system itself. And the only entry point to the Apple mobile devices is through the App Store. For normal users, the only entry point to install an application in the Apple device would be the App Store. But we have certain other alternative methods to that. But most popular method and most suggested method for the Apple would be the App Store, only endpoint. And for App Store, we'll be only allowing certain applications after certain testing and policies and every other stuff. And Apple is not that much popular with the developers because most of the functionalities should be very restricted to the developer kind. And also the developer need to have the Apple developer account to publish any application to the App Store. And Apple will be very strict regarding the functionalities and the permissions which the application is getting, which the application has been utilizing. And most popular language for the Apple applications are Shift, Objective-C, Swift-UI, and right now most of the languages such as like React.js or Flutter, which is like multi-operating system, cross-platform languages. And for Apple iOS, like iOS mobile application, we must need to have the Xcode. That means we must need to have the MacBook to publish any application through the App Store. Because only with the Xcode, we would be able to make a sign to the application. If and only if the application is getting signed with the Xcode developer account, then only it would be able to publish to the app stores. And developer account is required for the signing and distribution. And what would be the build process? And starting with, they have to have the source code, and they need to have the Xcode, and they need to have the MacBook API. MacBook with them. And once they have the Xcode, they can run, they can build, and they can also have the simulator of the iOS to test on their own laptops. And once it has been done, they will be making a bill and they will be signing the bill and will be publishing to the App Store. Okay, what is APK? What is APK? Anyone aware of APK? I hope like many of you know what the word APK, right? Anyone can explain like what is APK?
It's an Android packaging.
Yeah, Android packaging, like application package. Okay. What it has and what is the main use of the APK?
We have the entire source code binding in some kind of
Okay. APK is the binary or APK is the source code bundled for the application to be installed with the mobile devices. Same way, APK is for Android, whereas same way we have the IPA file for the mobile devices like iOS devices. The IPA stands for iOS App Store package, where it is just a zip archive of complete source code, build the source code within that particular file. And what are the contents of this IPA after the build? After the build, what are the contents of this IPA? There will be a folder called as payload with the application name with .app. .app is the binary where you can use the VS Code or any other code software to see all the internal build folders and files. I will also show you a demo. And what is the architecture for the IPA? What are architectures commonly? Guys, please respond. So we have enough crowd for us to respond, and most of them are students and most of them are professional. It would be better we can have a discussion over the topic. So what is normally architecture?
Structure for developing.
Structure for development. Okay. Anything else? Like what exactly is the architecture? What is architecture? Huh?
specifications.
Okay, specifications. Okay. Anything else?
Underlying a microprocessor.
Yeah, underlying a microprocessor. See, what is the architecture is the microprocessor in which the particular build going to be running on. That is known as the architecture. For example, we have common architectures on x86 and x64 and ARM64 and other build services for the Windows application side. Same way for the Android we have the x86 and 64. Same way for the IPA we have a couple of more popular build. One would be x86 64. And this is for the simulator, iOS simulator inside the MacBook. And whereas ARM64, this is the actual Apple silicon which will be utilizing for the mobile application build. If you are a freelancer or if you are an application security mentor for the iOS, you need to have either x86 64 if you are having the MacBook and the iOS simulator. And if you have a mobile device where you can make a pen testing, you need to have the ARM64. And most of the students or most of the professionals would think we need to mandatorily have the MacBook or mandatorily have the Apple device in our hands to start with the iOS application security testing. But it is not completely right. We can also have partial security testing without the Apple ecosystem device. As you know, the Apple would be enforcing the ecosystem. Like for example, if you want to publish an app or publish a services functionality or feature, you need to be having a hands-on with that ecosystem device, say as Apple, MacBook or iOS device. But we can have a static security testing with our Windows device itself. I will show you a demo for static application security testing also. And if you have a mobile device where you can make a pen testing, like manual pen testing, we can have the ARM64. Or if you have the MacBook but you don't have the mobile application, like hot mobile application, you can have this built-in x64. Working with the IPA file. As I said,
Is it like without having iPhone and Mac, can you perform a
Yes.
system?
yes, without having the Apple MacBook or Apple iOS device, they can do pen test the Apple applications. Say we have the IPA file for the application, we need to make a pen test on. We can do the pen testing, like static pen testing with the IPA file itself. And we do have a lot of cloud emulators, which is actually paid one, but they have certain free trials where you can have limitations regarding the pen testing, but it is also possible without having the MacBook or the iOS mobiles, iPhone itself. And as I already said, the IPA file is nothing but a zip file which will be containing complete source code, like built source code. We can just, if you have the Windows device, we can have an IPA and we can just rename the IPA to .zip, and where you can extract the complete zip file into the complete codes. I will show you more. And what are the sources of IPA? As you know, the only source, as we are aware, is like using the App Store. But if you are a product security company, or if you are a product company where you need to have the DevSecOps, or where you need to have the application security tester within your company, they can use via testflight. Testflight is nothing but a testing method with, like alternative to the App Store, where you can have in-house application security testing or in-house application distribution. And developer shareable with where the developers can share the IPA file for you to test. And one of the most common platform to get the IPA file of commonly used everyday applications would be decrypt.d. This is not actually suggested, but this is one of the most popular method to do. But mostly don't have the IPA file from decrypt.d or any other open source application, like any other web application. They may be containing malware or any other viruses which may not be aware of. But it would be suggested if you have an iPhone or if you have a laptop, or you can have open available IPA file to pen test on. We have certain like downloadable iOS DBA, that is downloadable applications also we have, like iOS vulnerability applications. And yeah, and with the App Store, we can't directly get the IPA file. If you have the iPhone device, we won't be able to directly get the IPA file from the App Store. And this is one of the demo where you can see I have the VS Code running on, and I have a downloadable iOS application with the IPA file. Okay, let me slow it down. Okay, as you can see, I have a IPA file. What I'm going to be doing is unzipping the IPA file would be extracting all the code binaries. As you can see, I have been running the command unzip the VIA version 2.ipa file. What it's going to be doing is completely uncompressing the file. See, for example, as soon as I uncompress the file, the new folder would be created named as payload. Inside the payload, we will be having the name, application name.app folder. If you double click on the app folder, we're going to be seeing complete built directory of the applications, including all these source codes, including all the functionalities, and .ps list and every other files. Okay, there are two types of testing methods which will be handling in day-to-day life. One is the SAST and DAST, as we have. SAST is the static application security testing, and DAST is the dynamic application security testing. Whereas in the SAST, we will be having a only single source code, or we will be having only the IPA file, and we need to test the complete application security testing of within the IPA file, and we don't have any kind of device to execute the IPA file. This SAST would be possible if we have the Windows device. We have the Windows laptop, we don't have access to any kind of iPhone or the MacBook. We can do complete SAST testing with our Windows device itself. We don't need any kind of Apple ecosystem device for this. One of the most common applications which should be used for SAST for the iOS device would be Mob-Racer. It is one of the free software which is commonly very popular among the iOS application security tester. And if you are a DevSecOps or if you have the iOS device, within your organization. You can either use Self Grip or Veracode. These two are commercial, and one small SF is a community edition. And for the dynamic application security testing, we can either use workload of Zap or any other services. And workload Federal Consumption, Zap, or the complete free application, whereas Server and Browser Stack are complete commercial one. Whereas these two will be giving the access to cloud emulator of the iOS device. Let's see how the mob SF static application could be done. I'll show you a quick demo of how it can be done. And the same, let's see. The same method can be utilized in the Windows system itself. We don't need a Mac system for this. What I just did is I used a mob SF Docker file. I am not going to be explaining what is the Docker the current session. As simple as the Docker is a container-based application which will be complete cross-platform. You can either use a Windows or you can either use a Mac, Linux, no matter what the platform is. You can run the same Docker image in all the applications. I just pulled the Docker image from the Open Security. That is the organization which created the mobile security framework. And this also have the GitHub repo as well as the Docker Hub. I will show you where I got this particular link also. So you can download the Docker desktop from this particular website. This is Docker Hub, and this is the mob SF Docker Hub page. And while you scroll down a bit, you can see what is the command I utilize. Docker pull. I am just pulling the image from the Docker Hub to my system, and I am pulling the latest version, and I am just running the Docker image with 8,000 port. Okay, let me run this command. If you are running the command at the first time, it's going to be pulling the image from the online, but I already have the cache of this particular Docker image, so it is directly started up. This is a Django application, so no need. Okay, once this server has been started from the Docker, you can go to your browser and open your loopback address with 8,000 port, and you will be seeing this sign-in page. The default username is mob. The default sign-in page will be mob SF and the password will be mob SF. And once we signed in, this is the page you will be seeing on. You can have the dynamic analyzer within the mob SF, but it will be depending on the third-party services calling him for the API key. We are not going to be doing the dynamic analysis in the mob SF today, but I will show you how to do the static analysis for the iOS application. You just need to click on the upload and analyze. Before clicking on the upload and analyze, you need to have the IPA file for the application which you're going to be testing on. And I have the IPA file in here. I just uploaded the IPA file. I will run all the analysis in the background. Depending on the application size and depending on the build processes, it's going to be taking a minute or two. As you can see, the complete result of the application. Okay, I just want to be quickly go through the scoreboard. Okay, within the scoreboard, if you have the security tester, this is the one of the most main page which we are going to be recognizing on. Commonly, it will show all the vulnerability which exists in the particular application with the criticality like high, medium, or low, and what is the exact vulnerability it is. For example, we can see app transport and orbital cloud has been allowed, and binary use of like insecure APIs. APIs is internal functionality which will be utilized from the Apple to our third-party application, and login functions and all other vulnerability which exists in this particular application. And when we come back to the main dashboard, also if I were to mention like what is the build source, like what is the SDK name and what is the minimum version and what is the application name and all other common information will be shown in the top part. And we can also see what is the scan logs, like what are the exact scans and what are the exact functionality with that. And we can see the complete class dump. This particular is not okay. Yeah, we can see also plist, program list on here. It is an XML file. It will be showing all the application common informations in here. And what are the URLs it has a scheme and application permissions. What are the permission the application had? Like for example, it has a permission for camera usage and it has a permission for Face ID. And ATS is application security, application transport security. So basically, if you have a mobile application, you need to be sure that particular domain would be only allowed from the application to be contacted with. That is ATS. And IP binary code analysis, we can see what is the CDE and CWE. CWE is common web exploitations. It has a number like in our Nest framework we will be having this. Right now I'm not sure in that, but it is common web vulnerability exploitation. Common weakness exploitation enumeration. Okay, sorry for that. Sorry, it is a common weakness enumeration and all the frameworks where this particular application has been utilizing. And we can also see the domains. And we can also see the domains the particular function, particular API file is trying to contact with. Say for example, it is API login for Yahoo and MXPlanel and Digicert and Apple.com. All the URLs which has been trying to contact from the application. And the complete list of URLs. And we can also have the report for this. If you have a client, then you can also directly share the, not directly, you can make some modifications and share this particular report also. You can see complete risk score, application security score, and what are the vulnerability which exists in the platforms, and all other stuff within this mob SF report itself. And moving on. Moving on to the dynamic, anyone have any questions in the static analysis? No questions? Okay, let's move on to the dynamic analyzing. So we're going to be utilizing the verbs of communication for this particular demo, and you can have, for this particular demonstration, we need to have the iPhone device or the MacBook. Anything will be fine. I will be showing both of the ways. If you have a Windows device and you have an iPhone, you can do this particular current step. And if you have the MacBook but not the iPhone, you can do this next step. Okay, I just voted the works for communication. Let's move on to the proxy tab. In the proxy tab, I'm going to be clicking on the proxy settings, and let me just remove this too. By default, it will be only having a loop app. Okay. By default, it will be only having the loop back address, but 8080 port, 18 to 1990. Okay, and I'm going to be removing all the listeners, and I'm going to be adding a new listener to complete all interface in the whatever the port of your choice. I'm going to be utilizing the 8080 port and all interface. For this demonstration purpose, we need to make sure that particular device where the burp suit is running and the particular iPhone where you have the both devices need to be in the same Wi-Fi network. Let me quickly see what is the IP address of this. Okay. Just a minute. And as you can see, this is the IP address of this particular device in the network. And let me show you my iPhone screen. And here you can see my iPhone. Whereas this is the address, like they both have been connected to the NDSN or Wi-Fi. So you can see that you need to be sure that subnet has been matching on. This is the IP address of the laptop, and this is the IP address of the iPhone device. The both contains in the same subnet. And let me open the Safari in my iPhone device, and this is the box IP. And as soon as I open the particular IP address with the particular listener in my iPhone device, I will be seeing with this particular screen virtual community edition, and you can see it. Give me option to zoom. Just a second. Okay. As you can see in the top right corner, you have a button called the CS certificate. I want to be clicking on the CS certificate, and I need to click on allow to download a configuration profile. What is configuration profile is nothing but it is a network profile which is going to be installing on this iPhone device to allow all the proxy traffic to the particular proxy network. And as soon as I click on the download, the profile has been downloaded. Now we need to open the settings, and as soon as you open the settings, you can see a profile downloader option over here. Let me click on the profile downloader, and we're going to be seeing this particular thing, saying that ports with the CA certificate, and we need to click on the install, enter the password, and once we install that, see. For example, the configuration profile has been installed over here, as you can see. We need to come back to the general settings. Under the general settings, we need to open the about, and under the about, in the last option, as you can see, certificate test settings. Let's open that, and we need to make sure the ports in the CA certificate has been enabled. As we are doing in the first time, it won't be enabled. So you need to make enable the certification to allow all the HTTPS traffic to the particular proxy. And once we've done this step, let's come back to the Wi-Fi settings, and I click on the information tab, and we're going to be configuring a manual proxy over there. As you can see, there is a option called as HTTP proxy. Let's click on the configure proxy and click on manual. Let's enter the IP address. As soon as we enter the server IP address and the port, let's save this and let it load. As soon as I enter this manual proxy, server IP address and the server port, let's click on the done. Let's click on the save button, and as soon as you come back, you will be able to see, yeah, and let me zoom this up. Yeah. As soon as you configure the proxy, you will be able to see all the HTTP traffic from the Apple device. For example, let me open Safari and let me search something. So we need to turn off the intercept actually, and as soon as we turned off the intercept, the complete traffic would be able to visible. Like let's move on to the HTTP history tab, and we can see all the traffic which has been happened from the iPhone device. For example, okay, let me clear the complete history. Let me open Google. Let me search something. Let's see. And for example, the application has an input tag or application has a search bar. Let's say have the parameters as test 1 2 3 4 5 6, and as soon as we enter that, the complete HTTP traffic would be visible in the verb suite. And if you want to analyze what particular API the particular parameter has been called to, we can click on the filter setting and just type what is the exact parameter I entered in there. And we can see the complete exact HTTP URL where the particular parameter has been sent to. In our real applications cases, you will be able to see the complete API endpoint where the particular parameter has been called to. And I can move this parameter to the repeater tag, and we can have complete web application testing for the following. Any doubt in this? Okay. This is about the dynamic application security testing from the iPhone device with the help of Windows or the MacBook. Let's see what if we don't have the iPhone device in our hand, and we just have the MacBook. And for without iPhone device, you must have the MacBook to complete dynamic testing. Else, you need to have the cloud services or subscriptions. Let me remove the iPhone device, and you will be having two options in this particular scenario. Whether you can utilize any proxy application such as ProxyMan or any other application in your MacBook to see complete traffic of the MacBook. And one of the limitation of this particular method is you will be able to see complete HTTP responses which has been happened in the complete MacBook. For example, if you have a MacBook, like say for example you have a business laptop and it has a Outlook or any other email providers running on. When you are trying to utilize this particular method, the complete Outlook endpoint also will be visible in your HTTP responses. So you need to make sure that you are being completely quit or closed all the other application which is not intended to be recognized in this particular proxy. For MacBook, we have ProxyMan and other application services. In this case, we are going to be utilizing the burp itself. We need to make sure it has been the proxy has been running on all the interface, and input or export. We need to click on the import or export button. Click on the certificate in DR mode. It is for export, and let me name a cert test for DR, and as soon as we exported that, yeah, here you can see the certificate. Just double click on the certificate and yeah. In your keychain access, you need to search for post figure if you have multiple certificates in your laptop, and click on get info. And as you can see, the root certificate is not yet trusted in the keychain. We need to trust this particular certificate for analyzing all the proxies from the laptop. To do that, you can you need to expand the trust setting and click on always trust and make sure you have been made as never trust or use the system default as soon as the proxy session has been done. Else the complete header will be automatically recognizing if you have the worksuite running on. So it's better to change to never trust after the session. As soon as you made to recognize as a root certificate, you will be seeing this certificate is master trusted from all user. And let's go to our system settings and to Wi-Fi and to select the Wi-Fi which the device has been connected on. And under the proxy tab, we need to click on the HTTP proxy or secure web proxy, HTTPS proxy, and instead of 9090, whatever the port the particular listener is running on, and click on OK. You need to make sure to enable for HTTP and HTTPS. In the proxy tab, you need to enter the server address for HTTP as well as the HTTPS, and then only you will be able to see all the traffic from the laptop. And you need to have the Xcode running on in a system MacBook. For the people who don't know what Xcode is a similar to the VS Code from the Apple to run all the applications related to the Apple ecosystem. Like you can create all the applications from this Xcode itself. So platform support. Any doubts so far? Any comments or any reviews to be added? Like, I mean, going too fast or it is not understandable? Anything?
Yeah.
Okay. And just a second. Just a second. Right now, I have been open the existing application repository which I had for downloadable iOS application. It is available in the GitHub for you to test on all the application security testing on the iOS. And I opened the Xcode for the particular existing project. And as you can see, there are two folders in here. One would be the application itself, and one would be the pods. And let's just the processing has been running on. Let's give it a minute or two, and as soon as it has been done, okay, let it load. Meanwhile, I would like to ask, like, anyone would like to do iOS application security testing, or anyone is already doing application testing over here? Like, curiosity about like how the application has, security testing has been going on in the industry, and what would be the things required to come to the particular industry, or like testing on the iOS application side. Like, you might have already been done on Android security testing, and you would like to move on to the iOS security testing. Anyone like that? Any questions regarding that? Anyone? Okay, no issues. Meanwhile, I also show you a short clip to it. Okay. In the starting, I have been mentioned like it is not person has been said that actually is the only method for us to install the IPA file in our iOS iPhone application, iPhone device. But I already shown you a short trick to install the IPA file with our iPhone device itself. It is possible to install the IPA file with our iPhone without jailbreaking the device itself. I'm not sure if any one of you don't know what jailbreak is. Jailbreak is nothing but exploiting the limitation of the iPhone device. Like by default, the Apple will be having n number of restrictions through our device, and we can make some methods, and we can remove the particular restriction from the Apple device. Right now the screen unfortunately the screen mirroring is not working right now. I will just show you how to do that, and just a minute maybe. Meanwhile, the build has been run. Okay. As soon as we open the repository in our export, let's go to the product session in the menu, and let's build for running. Let the build run, and Okay, unfortunately there are some issues in the build application, so no worries. Okay, in simple terms, as we made the proxy setting in our MacBook, all the HTTP traffic would be able to be visible in the web suite. And we have the Xcode in our laptop, means we can run the Xcode simulator, like iOS simulator, in our Xcode laptop. As soon as we run up the simulator, you will be able to see the particular application has been installed in our simulator. And we can normally use the application inside the simulator. Meanwhile, you can also see what are the HTTP history which has been done from the application in our web suite. That's it. And yeah, that's it. Any question? This is the web suite simulator setup, like install the keychain and map all the list and these are the most common vulnerability which you can expect in the iOS application security testing. As you know, the developers may be a little bit lazy, or maybe they want to move forward with the application no matter what the restriction from the Apple is. They may be looking to the shortcuts to do that. Most of the shortcuts could result in the vulnerabilities, and these are the common vulnerabilities which you may be looking to the iOS applications. These are what setting out vulnerabilities like ATS, and what is the authentication and session handling methods they are being utilized, whether they are utilizing the MSOL or OAuth or any other methods, and what is the local storage they are utilizing, whether they are utilizing the SQLDB or whether they are utilizing the keychain, like encrypted keychain, or what is the file permissions they have, and whether they are having the hard-coded credentials, API keys, and all other stuff within that application file itself, instead of having in the environmental variable or the keychain itself, and whether they have the jailbreak direction or not, whether they have the integrity validation or not. Yeah, that's it for today. And if you want to reach out to me, I have my LinkedIn profile and my mail over here. Thank you. Thanks everyone. What? Any?
We don't have a iPhone or we don't have a Mac. So in that case, it's like I got the IPA file. So what will be your strategy to do the testing? I do understand this for static, I can use MobSF and find the static vulnerabilities. For dynamic, do we need to, what kind of emulators or what are the open source we have in a cost efficient way?
For static analysis is the only common method which may be utilizing using the Windows laptop. If you want to move forward with the dynamic analysis, it will be suggested to have a MacBook or the iPhone device. Unless until we have the actual Apple ecosystem device, we won't be able to do in the free methods. Or else you can have the cloud emulator setups. They are like a little bit paid, but they do having the free trial version where you can make a free trial for 7 days or 14 days depending upon the application software. You will be able to utilize in the cloud emulator only. There is no other options which I know are available. One of the common cloud emulators is Browser Stack, and other one would be Corlium. These are the emulators, like these both are the paid emulators, but they do have the free trial options over there. These two are most very commonly used from the enterprises edition. Any other questions?
iOS jailbreak device is required must for AppSec testing.
As I said in before, iOS security testing is different from the iOS application security testing. If you want to make the iOS security testing, that means you want to have the security testing on the iOS device itself, iPhone device itself, jailbreak is a must necessary for making sure of all the vulnerability has been detected. But for us, in application security testing, the jailbreak device is not required that much. We can utilize the jailbreak would be majorly utilized only to install the IPA file inside the iPhone. For example, I have a Windows device. I need to install the IPA file inside the iPhone. that particular cases we may require the jailbreak device. But there is a shortcut where we can utilize without the jailbreak device itself. It is not necessary for us to application security testing team. Any other questions?
You said that if you download an app through the Apple's App Store, you won't get the IPA file, right? It will just be downloaded on a device. So, is there any way to test an app without having the IPA file in our hand? Like, it is installed on the device, but I don't have that IPA file to run a static test. Is there any way to test an app that has been installed on the device, but I don't have the IPA file?
In this particular case, we have two options for this. Whether we can do the dynamic security testing, where we don't require the actual IPA file in our hand. We just require an iPhone device with the application is already installed on. For example, in my current rate, where we can do complete dynamic security testing in this. Like we can install the virtual proxy inside our proxy, and we can see what are the HTTP history which the application has been contacting on. And the second case would be, there are methods where you can get the IPA file of the commonly known applications, for example, Google Chrome or like any other gaming software or any other commonly used applications from this particular website. But this particular website is not that much suggested to do. But as soon as you open this particular website, this is how the website would be looking on. And name any application to search. Let's say we have Chrome over here. I'm not sure whether TikTok is in here or not. They have TikTok, okay. TikTok Studio. There are a lot of distribution inside the TikTok itself. TikTok Music, TikTok Lite. Let's say for example this website. This is the TikTok global video community. And we can easily download the IPA file from this particular website. This website may contain ads or they may contain redirect URLs, but you can utilize the second link to directly download the IPA file instead of moving on to the first one. The only limitation is it will be much slower when compared to the first URL. But when as soon as you log into the particular website, you're going to be getting on too much of spam messages each and every day. So it is suggested to do with the second URL. And you can just click on the download link and you would be able to download the complete IPA file. In my case, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, let me show actually. As you can see, the IPA file has been getting downloaded.